Hello, my name is Claire Howell and I'm the Learning and Development Manager for the Juice Talent Development Platform. Congratulations on your decision to acquire access to the Juice Talent Development Platform. It's a great learning opportunity that has proved to be a valuable tool for many recruitment businesses. How you set up, communicate and implement the learning opportunity within your business will have a big impact on its success and your return on investment. My role and my aim in this video is to provide you with the information you need to set up the platform correctly for your business and to give you then ongoing advice and support to ensure you get effective learning using the platform. We're going to consider 4 key factors in the successful implementation of the Juice Talent Development Platform. The first key factor is relevance of learning and relevance of content. For any adult to engage in learning, it needs to be absolutely relevant to what they're trying to achieve and what they're trying to do at desk every day. It needs to help them achieve their objectives. So the first point is to think very carefully about the breadth of content on the Juice Talent Development Platform and what you want your learners to watch and how you need them to develop. So think about your target groups. Who are the learners? What do you want them to achieve? And what are you trying to achieve through their use of this learning opportunity? Deciding on what you want your learners to achieve will dictate how you set them up. And you have 2 main options. The first option is to allow your learner access to all content on the platform. This is recommended for managers, leaders, who will be using the platform for their own personal development as well as the development of others. It's also recommended for established or experienced consultants who would benefit from being empowered to manage their own learning and select content which is relevant to the challenges they face in the market. This is also helpful for anyone in an unusual role, where they will benefit from the flexibility of selecting content that's relevant to their highly specific role. The second option is to restrict content, so that the learner only sees learning material that is directly relevant to their role. This setting is recommended for new starters or inexperienced recruiters, where a more directive and controlled approach to managing learning is required. So where content is restricted, you have 6 main pathway options to choose from. There are 3 pathways for somebody working in a resourcer or a researcher role, for permanent, for temporary, or permanent and temporary recruitment combined. There are also 3 pathways which take a consultant from trainee through to fully established consultant, again split between permanent recruitment, temporary recruitment, and combined permanent and temporary. Those are the 6 pathways. To help you make this decision, there are 3 documents available to download at the end of this video. The first one is a summary of all content, all episodes on the Juice Talent Development Platform. The second document details all of the episodes on the platform and also includes detail of the learning objectives for each episode. The third document lists the content in each of the 6 standard learning pathways that I've referred to. Once you've reviewed these documents and made your decision, simply send us the names and email addresses of your learners and which pathway you would like them allocated to, or indeed if you would like them to have access to all content, and we'll set this up. If you need further information to make this decision or have any questions, email me at claire@juicetdp.com and I'll make contact to provide further support. The second key consideration when implementing the Juice Talent Development Platform is to define your learning process. Think about your business culture. Think about the learning environment you want to create, and then work through this checklist. Does each learner have access to a PC with sound and video capability? Hopefully, this question gets a tick and is easily remedied if not. Do you have a video screen in a board or meeting room with internet access for group learning? Whilst this is not essential, feedback is clear that learners appreciate a collaborative learning approach where they can combine individual learning with group sessions using Juice TDP material. How much time do you expect each learner to devote to Juice learning on a weekly or monthly basis? This is clearly your choice, whatever fits within your business, but here are the guidelines. A learner needs to set aside on average 30 minutes to complete one learning video, the accompanying quiz and any associated tasks. The evidence suggests that new starters and inexperienced consultants benefit from completing 2 or 3 episodes per week. It's fine if you want your new starters to exceed this target, maybe completing 1 episode per day. But if that's your plan, make sure you create sufficient opportunity for learners to apply their learning, otherwise it won't be reinforced. Once a consultant is established and running a busy desk, a more realistic target is to complete between 4 and 6 episodes each month, either individually or in a group setting. The advice here is not to set too unrealistic an expectation, and appreciate that consistency is much more important than frequency when it comes to building a positive learning habit. Will you set aside specific time each week for Juice learning? Whether you operate fixed working routines or a more flexible working practice, every client tells us that they benefit from the discipline of setting time aside each week or each month when everyone engages in Juice learning. How can Juice learning be incorporated into the performance review process? Planning, discussing and reviewing Juice learning in weekly team meetings and individual performance reviews reinforces the link in the learner's mind between personal development and achievement, and in turn encourages positive learning behaviour. How will Juice learning fit with any training, coaching or mentoring programme you currently have in place? Juice TDP content is a great tool for managers and mentors when developing others and extending coaching. It can also be used to enhance induction and other training. Finally, consider who is responsible for implementing and driving the system. Whilst each learner has a responsibility to commit to their own personal development and to use the resources provided, they must also be held accountable. A clear commitment to Juice learning from the managers that drive behaviours at desk every day is essential, as is sufficient administrative support to monitor and report activity. An implementation guide is available to download at the end of this episode that extends some of these ideas and offers suggestions around best practice for learning process. Please email me on claire@juicetdp.com if you need further ideas and support to develop this. So the third key consideration is how to communicate the learning opportunity. You've invested in this engaging new learning resource. You've thought about how to implement it within your business. And you've put the learner at the centre of your focus. So tell them. Hold a meeting or a series of meetings to launch the opportunity. For the learner, demonstrate the platform. Show them what's on there. Demonstrate it live. Make it clear how much you've invested in their personal development. Answer their questions, concerns, and most importantly, set the expectation of how you expect them to commit to their own personal development. Or even better, get them to commit to you and tell you what they're going to do. For managers, Explain the benefit to them of the Juice Talent Development Platform as a management and development tool for their staff. Provide them with how-tos, information on how to get the best out of it. And stress the importance of their role in driving learning behaviour and their role as a role model in using the opportunity themselves. An example outline meeting agenda is available to download at the end of this episode. And in the next chapter, we'll talk more about how to manage the online learning opportunity effectively and give some best practice advice for you and your managers. The fourth and final key consideration when implementing the Juice Talent Development Platform is how to effectively manage online learning. You need to get a plan in place to ensure that not only are you going to encourage a consistent and positive learning behaviour, but that enables you to assess and evaluate how good learning is and the difference it's making to performance. I'm available to discuss many ideas and lots of best practice in managing effective online learning. At the end of this video, there's also a document that you can download which gives you some ideas on how to do this and how to assess and evaluate whether learning is working and actually if it's making a difference to performance. In the meantime, I'm going to give you a 5-point plan to how to effectively manage Juice learning. The first point is to set expectation and create accountability, a fundamental but critical management step. Your learners need to know how frequently you expect them to engage in Juice learning, what you want them to learn, and how you want them to apply it. So setting that expectation, agreeing that learning contract or commitment with them is essential from the outset. Of course, you then need to create accountability around it. So if you've set that expectation, make sure you review it. Use the management information available to you on the Juice Talent Development Platform. Build in a learning review to weekly performance meetings, monthly performance reviews, weekly sales meetings. The more you review learning, discuss how it's being used and how it's being applied, the more you will reinforce a positive learning habit and encourage learning behaviour. The second step is to manage learning through a well-planned structure. Another fundamental point, but another critical one. Think about setting time aside each week for your learners to engage in Juice learning. Set aside a time each fortnight to run a group session. But whatever you do, make sure that you build time into the recruiter's weekly routine to ensure that learning takes place. And set time aside as a manager to review learning. The third and most important step is to lead by example. As a manager, you have a massive influence on your staff. They look at what you do, not so much what you say, and they follow your lead. You are their role model. So it's really important that you lead learning, otherwise they won't engage in it. So make sure you use the platform yourself for your own personal development. And when you do, tell your staff about it. Lead group sessions using Juice material. Watch an episode together and then lead a conversation on how you can apply it to your market and the learning commitments that you're going to make. Set up learning partnerships for the team, for experienced and less experienced recruiters to work together. Most importantly, lead by example and do exactly what you expect your team to do. So you've set the expectation, you've got your process in place, and you're leading by example. The fourth step is to review and assess learning. It's all very well learning and training, but if it's not having an impact on performance and results, you're not getting a return on your investment. So it's important to review learning and assess the difference it's making. The design of the Juice Talent Development Platform supports ongoing assessment. Every learning video on the platform is followed by a quiz to consolidate learning. And additional practical tasks or do-its help the learner to reflect on what they have learnt and to place it in their working context. As a manager, observation and questioning at desk will provide you an idea of skill levels for your team. There's more that you need to do, however, to assess that Juice learning is effective. Consider these following approaches. Observed practical tasks. Work together with your staff, observe their skills and coach them. Ask the learner to demonstrate 3 key LinkedIn searches and explain why they're important, for example. Work together on a new business generation session, checking their skills as you do. Join the learner in a candidate interview or client meeting to assess skill levels. Or conduct a you do, I do calling session where they make a call and you make a call. Another way to check learning. Think about getting the learner to present to you. Ask them to present their LinkedIn profile perhaps, and how they intend to use it to get the best return. Or 2 candidates that I've identified and how they've qualified them. Or perhaps they can present an online advertisement to you and tell you how it's going to attract the candidates they want to find. They can also present leads that they've generated and tell you how they're going to follow them up. Consider summary notes, perhaps a summary of the key legal do's and don'ts to follow when attracting, shortlisting and interviewing candidates. Or maybe write up on a bit of paper 3 things that are going to keep them motivated. Effective opening lines for business development calls, or the key things to remember when taking a job brief. Don't forget that everyday practical tasks are also an assessment opportunity. When you're agreeing daily targets and objectives for new business development, get the learner to tell you how they're going to achieve them. Discuss a specific new business prospect and ask your learner to tell you how they plan to approach them. Or talk through a plan in advance of a client meeting. And finally, role play. Probably something you do already. But if your learner has been watching specific material on the Juice talent development platform and you want to assess how well those skills are being developed, role play an objection. Role play selling a candidate to a client or a tough negotiation or the best way to gain contractor commitment. And finally, don't forget to measure and celebrate success. Monitor learning activity levels against performance achievement, the achievement of key performance indicators, revenue, any other measures that you have in your business. And when you spot positive correlations, publicise them. Share success stories where one of your learners has watched some learning content and then gone out and delivered a great presentation to a client. And think about the media by which you can communicate some of these success stories to encourage and extend a positive learning habit and learning culture throughout your business. As a busy recruitment manager, you're in a tough role, particularly if you're billing yourself. It is one of the toughest jobs in recruitment. You're expected to deliver to personal performance targets, meet team targets, coach, support, counsel, all of those things. So you need all the help and resources that you can get to support you in that. The Juice platform is an invaluable learning resource for your staff. It provides you with ready-made content, downloadable documents, structured learning plans that you can implement with your team. You don't need to design them yourself. Once you've got your learning routines in place, and your staff are engaged in this positive learning habit, you should start to see skills improvement and an increase in the performance and the bottom line that you deliver each month.